Welcome back, guys, to part 2 in our multiplication series. We have on the board 2 examples that I'm going to be working right now. One of them we're multiplying by a 2-digit number, the other one we're multiplying by a 3-digit number. So let's get into it. So again, if you have not watched part 1 of our multiplication series, then please go check that video out, and then you can always come back to this one. Alright, so again we set the problem out 2, 1, 3, and we're multiplying by 21. Okay? So what we're basically doing, we're going to be multiplying 213 by 1, and then we're going to be multiplying it by this number here. So let's start. We're now multiplying by 1, so 1 times 3 is 3. Notice where the numbers are going. 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2. Now when we get to the second number, okay, and this is something that I like to tell my students, it makes it easier for them to understand. So now that we're going to be multiplying by 2, the first answer that we get should start right below the 2. So if our first number that we're going to be multiplying, the answer is going to be here, then we need a 0 to fill in this space, okay? Another way to say it for those who would understand, we're basically now multiplying by 20, right? First we're multiplying by 1, now we're multiplying by 20, so that's the reason for this 0. But if you don't remember, if it's not going to be easy for you to remember that, just remember that your first answer when you start to multiply by 2 should go right below the 2, so you just fill in that extra space with a 0. That 0 is very important. You have to make sure that you put it there, okay, so you know exactly where to start your multiplication from. So again, we're going to be multiplying by 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Notice I said the first answer goes right below the number that we're multiplying by. Then 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so we multiply by 1, we multiply by 2, the multiplication aspect is finished. We now add these two numbers together. So 3 plus 0 is 3, 1 plus 6 is 7, 2 plus 2 is 4, and we put the 4 here. Okay, so our answer is 4,473. Okay, let's get to our second example. Again, we're going to set the question out. 103 times 451. We multiplying by 1, that's our first number, so 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 1 is 1. Now we're going to be multiplying by the second number. Okay, so again, our first answer should go here, so we need a 0 to fill in the space, just as a reminder that our answer does not start there. So 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, that's a 2-digit number, so the first number goes here, the 5, and then the 1 goes here. 5 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. So the 1 goes there. 5 times 1 is 5. Now notice there's a 1 at the top, okay? And we're not finished with our multiplication. So what I like to tell my students to do, especially if they're working with pencil, just since you have you're finished with multiplying by 5, I always tell them to erase the number at the top. We don't want to get it confused with what we're going to be doing next, okay? So we know what we're multiplying by 4 again. Since this is where we are starting our multiplication, the answer will start here. So what we need to do is to fill in these two places with 0 so that our first answer comes here. It's very important to fill in the space so we start in the right column. 4 times 3 is 12. Okay? We do not write the 12 together. We put the 2 down and we bring the other number over in the next column. And this is why it was important to erase the number that was there, so we don't get confused when we're doing our multiplication, not being sure which number we carried over the last time and all of that. So now we are at 4 times 0 is 0, 0 plus 1 is 1. Then 4 times 1 is 4. Okay, so we are finished with our multiplication. We are now going to be adding all the answers together. So 3 plus 0, that's 3. 0 plus 5 plus 0, that's 5. 1 plus 1 plus 2, that's 4. 5 plus 1, that's 6. And of course 4. We bring that down. So our answer is 46,453. The main thing to remember, guys, is we fill in the spaces with zeros, okay? So after we did our first one in this row, when we started the second, by multiplying by the second number, the first answer goes here, so we filled in a 0. When we started multiplying by 4, the first answer goes here, so we filled in the other 2 spaces, okay? And as I said before, for those who would understand, we're basically multiplying by 400, that's why we have the 2 zeros there. But if you don't understand that, or if you're not at that point yet, just know that your first answer will start below the number that you are multiplying by. So just remember that you need to fill in the zeros. Okay?